You keep telling yourself that if you're kind enough, patient enough, forgiving enough, people will treat you right, that your goodness will protect you. But how many times have you ended up wounded, used, forgotten? The truth is, being a good person has never been a shield from pain. If anything, it's made you more of a target. This isn't just a theory, it's a pattern. The more you give, the more they expect. The more loyal you are, the more invisible you become. And while you're busy sacrificing, explaining, justifying, and enduring, the world keeps rewarding the loud, the strategic, the bold, and sometimes the cruel. Niccolo Machiavelli saw it centuries ago. He didn't wrap it in pretty words or moral fluff. He was blunt, a man who wishes to act entirely up to his professions of virtue soon meets with what destroys him among so much that is evil. In other words, if you move through this world with nothing but goodness, you will break. Because while you're trying to live by principles, most people are playing by advantage. And when you don't see the game, you're the one being played. You've felt it in your relationships, at work, with friends. You show up, you give, you care, and still, somehow, you lose. This isn't bad luck. It's not karma. It's not because you're not enough. It's because being good without being sharp is dangerous. And if you don't understand this, if you don't confront it head on, then you'll keep bleeding in places that look safe. This is why good people always get hurt, because most of them are clinging to a myth that being good is the same as being safe. We're taught from childhood that goodness is a virtue that always comes back to us, that if you do the right thing, you'll be rewarded. Be polite, say yes, forgive quickly, don't rock the boat. Eventually the world will see your heart and treat you right. But how often has that actually worked for you? How many times have you stayed silent in a meeting, thinking your humility would be respected, only to be overlooked for someone louder and less competent? How many times have you said yes when you wanted to say no, hoping they'd appreciate your sacrifice, but they just demanded more? That's the trap. The myth of goodness tells you that if you keep shrinking yourself for others, you'll somehow earn your place. But the brutal truth, the world doesn't respond to self-erasure. It responds to self-respect. And Machiavelli didn't just predict this, he warned against it. He wrote, "It is necessary for a prince, if he wants to maintain his position, to learn how not to be good." Not because being evil is the goal, but because being blindly good is dangerous. In his world and ours, unquestioned virtue is a liability. And maybe you felt that too, when you constantly accommodate others, when you let things slide to keep the peace, when you stay even after being mistreated. Isn't there a part of you that starts to feel resentful, hollow, exhausted? Because deep down, your goodness is being taken for granted, weaponized against you, and no one is coming to save you for being nice. So the real question is, are you being good or are you being easy to exploit? To answer that, we have to understand how the world actually works, not how we wish it worked. And no one laid that out more clearly than Niccolo Machiavelli. Now, this part is critical. Machiavelli wasn't promoting evil. He was exposing reality. He believed that most people are not led by morality, but by fear, desire, and self-interest. And if you want to survive or lead in a world like that, you have to see it for what it is. He wrote, "Men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, and covetous." Strong words, but look around. Isn't it true? Think about social media. One moment you're praised, the next you're cancelled. Loyalty online is paper thin. Or think about corporate life. How often do companies cut loyal employees to protect profit margins? Someone can dedicate 15 years of their life to a job and be let go with a 2-line email and a severance check that barely covers rent. Machiavelli's point was this: if you walk through life assuming everyone will treat you fairly just because you're fair, you will be blindsided again and again. He believed that people will often betray, lie, or manipulate if it benefits them, and especially if they think you won't push back. So ask yourself, have you ever had a friend who kept crossing boundaries because they knew you wouldn't say anything? A partner who kept doing just enough to keep you, but not enough to respect you. A boss who kept piling work on you because you never complained. That's not just coincidence. That's human nature being tested, and you're failing that test if you think being good is enough. And here's the twist. You don't have to become like them, but you do have to understand them. Because if you don't understand what people are capable of, you'll keep overestimating their intentions and underestimating your own power. That's the point Machiavelli was making. He wasn't saying abandon virtue. He was saying don't let it blind you. Because if you're only trying to please people, you'll never have the power to protect yourself. Let's sit with that. Power over pleasing. That's the shift Machiavelli was trying to wake people up to. Being liked doesn't keep you safe. Being useful does. Being respected does. And when respect fades, fear fills the gap. Machiavelli put it plainly. It is much safer to be feared than loved if one must choose. Now, let's not misunderstand this. He didn't mean walk around intimidating everyone. He meant this: when love is the only currency you trade in, when your whole worth depends on how much people like you, you're at their mercy. One change in their mood, and they own you. You've seen this play out in your own life. Think about the friend who kept you around only because you said yes to everything. The moment you said no, they disappeared. Or the co-worker who praised you until you outperformed them and then turned on you. Or the romantic partner who loved how easygoing you were until they got bored and found someone harder to control. So ask yourself honestly, do people treat you well because they respect your boundaries or because you don't have any? If people think you'll always forgive, always give another chance, always say yes, they stop valuing your yes, they stop fearing your number. That's what Machiavelli meant when he said a leader must know how not to be good, not to be cruel, but to be capable of withholding, of choosing when to give and when to walk away, of being strategic with your kindness instead of endlessly bleeding it out. You were not born to be everyone's comfort zone, and your purpose in life isn't to be someone else's cushion while you keep sinking. So the brutal truth is this: if your goodness doesn't come with strength, people will walk over it without even realizing they've done it. That's why it's time to rethink what it means to be good. Not in the way you were taught growing up, but in a way that protects you in the real world. This is the part most people miss. You don't have to stop being good. You have to start being strategically good. Strategic goodness means your kindness has limits, your forgiveness has a memory, your love has standards. It means you choose when to show softness, not because you're scared of conflict, but because you're in control. It means you're no longer giving to be liked. You're giving because it aligns with your values, not your fear of rejection. Let's ground this in real life. Think about the employee who does their job well, but also knows their value. They don't work overtime for free. They ask for what they deserve. They're pleasant, but not passive. That's strategic goodness. They contribute, but they don't shrink. Or the friend who supports you, checks in, listens, but doesn't tolerate constant one-sidedness. They'll be there for you, but not if you're draining them. That's not being cold. That's self-respect. Machiavelli would have admired this type of person, not because they're ruthless, but because they understand the rules of the game. Because they don't let being good become a trap that keeps them small. So here's the question you need to ask yourself now. Is your goodness protecting you, or is it weakening you? Does your kindness come from overflow or from a fear of being left behind? Strategic goodness is the ability to stay rooted in your values without allowing yourself to be exploited because of them. It's the power to be both kind and clear, warm but not weak, compassionate but not compliant. This is the version of good the world can't ignore. The kind that holds its ground, the kind that doesn't beg to be seen. It demands it through presence, not pleading. And maybe that's what you've been needing all along, not to stop being good, but to stop being powerless in your goodness. Because the truth is, the world doesn't owe you kindness just because you offer it. Life doesn't reward people for how much they endure. It rewards those who learn when to give and when to guard. So if you're tired of being hurt, Tired of being overlooked? Tired of giving pieces of yourself away just to prove your worth? Ask yourself, who taught you that suffering was the price of love? Who told you that silence was strength? This isn't about turning cold. It's about waking up, about realizing that boundaries are a form of self-love. That saying no doesn't make you mean, it makes you mature. That walking away isn't betrayal, it's self-preservation. Machiavelli's words were never meant to break your spirit. They were meant to sharpen it, to open your eyes to the truth. You can still be a good person. But in this world, you better be a dangerous one too. Because when your kindness is conscious, when it's no longer desperate or blind or unlimited, it becomes unstoppable. It becomes respected. It becomes seen. So here's your moment of truth. Will you keep letting the world chew through your goodness until there's nothing left? Or will you rise into a version of yourself that no longer begs to be valued, but knows they are? Think about it, sit with it, and when you're ready, let us know in the comments, what's one moment in your life when being too good cost you more than it gave you? Because someone else might need to hear your story to find their strength. And if this opened your eyes, even a little, don't just move on. Like, share, speak, because maybe the next person who needs this wake-up call is watching in silence. You're not here to be easy to hurt. You're here to become impossible to ignore.